Mr. Deputy Speaker, let me thank members for speaking in support of the bill. They have also raised many thoughtful comments which I will now address. Mr. Murali Pillai asked how connection charges and tariffs will be determined, and Engineer Dr. Lee Bee Hua asked if residents would have to foot this cost. Let me give an overview of the costs and how they will be recovered. First, the connection charge will cover the capital costs in Kampong Bugis. NEA will collect this from the master developer. The connection charge will be small compared to other costs like land costs and construction costs. In fact, a very, very small proportion. It will be made known to bidders when the site is launched for sale so that this will be factored in their bids. Second, a monthly tariff will be collected from owners of premises within the district, such as the MCST. This will cover operational and maintenance expenses for the DPWCS. The MSCT will then collect payments towards this tariff from subsidiary proprietors under the MCST as part of their monthly maintenance fees. To keep overall costs competitive, NEA will appoint the DPWCS licensee for Kampong Bugis through an open tender. The tariffs will take into account factors such as gross floor area and the amount of refuse generated for the different types of premises. So, for example, the tariffs for residential premises will be different from that for commercial properties. Ms. Irene Key, Mr. Zainal Zapari and Ms. Silva Lim spoke about potential cost increases arising from the DPWCS. We will make every effort to ensure that the cost of waste collection remains affordable. We also have to balance short-term costs with long-term sustainability. Waste generation in Singapore grew from 5.6 million tons in 2007 to 7.7 million tons in 2017, a 40% increase over the last decade. This trend is likely to continue as Singapore's population grows and economy grows. If we do not adopt technology but continue to manage waste the way we do today, we will need a proportionate increase in manpower, which we cannot meet without turning to more foreign labor, given our manpower constraints. We know that Singapore's workforce is shrinking and aging. Manpower costs across all sectors will continue to rise. The challenge is even more acute in the environmental services industry, which many Singaporeans, as I've noted earlier, perceive as dirty and unappealing and shun away from. We might not be able to find workers even if we are willing to pay for them. Members would agree with me that increasing our reliance on foreign workers to collect waste is not a sustainable solution. So we need to start putting in place systems now, such as the PWCS, to automate waste collection, which will allow workers in the environmental services industry to take on higher value-added jobs. From our recent consultations with industry players, the operating costs for PWCS comprise only a very small proportion of the total maintenance expenses for a condominium. Hence, the PWCS will not significantly affect the residents' maintenance fees. Condominiums with PWCS will also benefit from reduced pests and odor and manpower savings from not needing to manually transport waste within the premises. At the district level, premises will also enjoy more cost savings due to economies of scale through shared bin centres, air and ventilation equipment, and pipe networks. In greenfield sites, these benefits will be even greater, as the planning and construction of the network will be done from the start without retrofitting. And this is seen in other cities, including several in South Korea where DPWCS are implemented on greenfield sites. For these reasons, we expect the cost borne by each dwelling unit for the DPWCS at Kampong Bugis to be lower than that at Yihua, which is a brownfield site that required extensive and more costly retrofitting works, as mentioned by Engineer Dr. Lee Bee Hua. Over the longer term, as PWCS is used more extensively in Singapore and with technological advancements, we can expect the cost of DPWCS to decrease. As mentioned in my opening speech, NEA estimates that a 1,000 dwelling unit condominium will save GFA equivalent to a 5-room HDB flat by eliminating its bin center. In Kampong Bugis, this translates to the master developer saving 20% of the GFA used for bin centers, which could then be diverted to saleable units or facilities for residents. Residents will also benefit from a cleaner and quieter environment due to reduced truck traffic. Mr. Muraili asked whether the government would consider subsidizing existing private developments to implement PWCS within their estates. Currently, the cost of conveying waste from individual chutes to bin centers in private developments are borne by residents through their monthly maintenance fees. So the government does not subsidize this, and we have no plans to do so. Mr. Muraili and Mr. Zainal Zapari spoke about operational concerns related to DPWCS in Singapore and other cities, such as suction noise and smell from choke pipes. I would like to assure members that we take these concerns seriously. PWCS itself is a tried and tested technology and has been used in countries such as South Korea and Sweden for many years. To date, some 140 condominiums and commercial developments in Singapore have also used PWCS with only minor operational issues. Where these amenities occur, we will study and address them. For example, chokages have been addressed by improving the design of refuse chute hoppers, and odor by ensuring the regular replacement of odor filters. Let me share with members the experience of a district in Hwa Chong City, which is in Seoul. Residents were initially concerned when they saw the shared bin center in the middle of the district. They were concerned that the bin center will affect the aesthetics of the area and whether there would be odor problems. These concerns were cleverly addressed by integrating the bin center into a landscape garden, which residents welcome. This illustrates the importance of resident-centric designs. The PWCS retrofitting project at Yihua faced design limitations as it was in an existing estate with limited space. As a result, the bin center had to be located in the middle of the estate, surrounded by blocks of flats. HDB has introduced acoustic mitigating measures and odor treatment solutions to address the noise and smell issues at the bin center. Public education efforts were also intensified to remind residents of items that cannot be disposed of in PWCS. This would prevent chokages that give rise to odors. More importantly, the learning points from Yihua have been incorporated in the government's upcoming projects. These include the PWCS at the new HDB estate at Tampines North, where the bin center will be located at the edge of the district, away from residents. Other effective design features include placing refuse hoppers outside of flats and sizing refuse hoppers to limit the size of items that can be thrown into the chute, thereby preventing chokage. New developments, such as those in Kampong Bugis, will incorporate such planning and design features that will facilitate the smooth operation of PWCS. Another cause of these amenities is improper maintenance of the PWCS. To address this, NEA is jointly developing a Singapore standard for PWCS with HDB, Enterprise Singapore, and other stakeholders. The standard covers proper maintenance of PWCS, such as recommendations to replace air filters every 6 months, so that they remain effective in removing unpleasant odors. PWCS vendors must also provide operation and maintenance manuals to managing agents and MCSTs and provide basic training to the staff of the managing agents. As Ms. Irene Key, Mr. Gan Tian Po and Dr. Chia Shilu highlighted, users of DPWCS have a role to play in preventing chokage and its associated issues. They must use the DPWCS correctly and avoid throwing bulky or long items such as pillows or brooms into the chutes. NEA will support such efforts to educate residents on the correct way to use the PWCS, as we are already doing at private developments which have adopted PWCS. For instance, signage could be placed at throw points to educate residents on proper usage. NEA has also amended the Code of Practice on Environmental Health to introduce a refuse chute hopper design that limits the size of items that can be thrown into the chute. Mr. Zainal Zapari, Mr. Gan Thiam Poh, and Ms. Irene Key highlighted the need for prompt detection of faults in the PWCS and the importance of contingency plans in the event of breakdowns. It is our priority that our residents have reliable waste collection services, and NEA will ensure this through licensing conditions on the DPWCS licensee. In the event of a prolonged disruption in the main DPWCS network, the licensee must ensure continued service, such as through manual waste collection. These contingency plans are similar to those in other countries, such as South Korea. PWCS are also equipped with sensors and monitors to alert operators of any system faults so that they can carry out prompt remediation. Even as we prepare for contingencies, it is pertinent to note that most chockages are cleared within 2 to 3 hours in existing developments that use PWCS in Singapore. Mr. Muraili, Ms. Sylvia Lim, and Mr. Louis Ng spoke about the Town Council's role in managing PWCS. Mr. Muraili and Ms. Sylvia Lim also asked why the bill excludes Town Council managed premises. This is because HDB has already been playing an active role in implementing PWCS in public housing estates. Hence, the current bill focuses on enabling PWCS to be implemented on sites comprising private developments. NEA and HDB are also collaborating closely on implementing PWCS and will be adopting the Singapore standard for PWCS in the new projects. Mr. Louis Ng spoke about potential increases in maintenance costs to town councils due to PWCS. While this bill covers private developments only, we understand that HDB works closely with town councils to address this. For example, as mentioned by Mr. Muraili, the Ministry of National Development is providing a temporary grant to town councils to help offset costs until the PWCS industry attains economies of scale. In addition, town councils will enjoy savings from PWCS due to the reduced manpower requirements for refuse collection and cleaning. And indeed, they are already seeing this, but what happens is in the initial phases, because the PWCS is only applied to a particular part of the constituency, so the savings in waste collection costs cannot be passed through directly, and therefore the temporary grant is given. Whereas in a private development, the haulage, the waste collection, as well as if you implement a PWCS, the savings in cost can be directly offset within the maintenance fees payable. We welcome Mr. Muraili's suggestion to extend the scope of DPWCS by combining public and private estates to allow for greater economies of scale. This is something we can explore in future after we gain more experience in implementing DPWCS. Ms. Sylvia Lim asked how we intend to roll out the DPWCS areas under Section 31G. Our plan is to implement the DPWCS at Kampong Bugis, a greenfield development site that will enable the DPWCS to be planned and integrated from inception. We currently have no plans for a nationwide rollout of the DPWCS to existing developments or brownfield sites. Our priority is to implement the Kampong Bugis DPWCS well and ensure that it operates smoothly. With the experience gained, we will continue to enhance the development and management of PWCS in Singapore by working with the relevant agencies on suitable areas, taking into account site, technical, and financial considerations. Ms. Sylvia Lim also asked about extending DPWCS to landed estates. Yes. So one of our considerations in implementing DPWCS is the financial viability and sustainability of the system. Currently, we do not think that there are sufficient economies of scale to implement DPWCS in landed estates for the system to be financially viable. So we'll focus our efforts on non-landed developments such as Kampong Bugis. And let me also assure everyone, including residents of existing developments, that we will not take such actions implementing the PWCS in an area lightly. It will be carefully and judiciously considered. We will work with the planning agencies to identify suitable areas, and we will definitely look into not just the site and technical feasibility, but also cost considerations. And we will only implement if it makes sense, if it benefits the residents. So I want to assure everyone that we're not going to impose the PWCS, in all developments. It will be judiciously done, and cost will be a key consideration. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I will now address members' questions about the progressive wage model bonus. Ms. Joan Pereira and Mr. Louis Ng asked about the profile of the cleaning workforce. There are currently more than 40,000 resident cleaners and 17,000 foreign cleaners. Their average age is 60 years old and 37 years old, respectively. Composition has remained stable over the past 3 years. The tripartite cluster for cleaners has been rallying all stakeholders to support measures to uplift the skills and wages of cleaners, including the PWM bonus. To raise awareness among workers, a need highlighted by Mr. Desmond Chu, the unions have been conducting roadshows and briefings and have reached out to more than 6,500 workers. More sessions are being planned, and cleaning businesses have also been reminded to inform their workers. Let me express our appreciation to Mr. Zainal Zapari for championing the interests of our cleaners as chairman of the TCC. Thanks to the TCC's efforts, some cleaning businesses have already factored in the PWM bonus in their contracts that extend beyond 2019. Others, such as 800 Super Holdings Limited, have also been giving out additional bonuses to motivate and appreciate their workers. And indeed, I hope more businesses will do the same. I also support Mr. Zainal's heartfelt call for service buyers to safeguard the welfare of their cleaners. Several members asked how the PWM bonus will be enforced and how errant businesses will be flagged out. NEA and the Ministry of Manpower routinely inspect the records of cleaning businesses to ensure compliance with the PWM requirements. These include making sure pay slips are issued and training records of cleaners are kept. Mr. Mulaili was concerned how existing cleaning contracts will be affected and what considerations the Director General of Public Health will take into account before invoking the powers to postpone the effective date of the PWM wage requirements. Mr. Zainal Zapari also suggested giving a grace period for businesses who do not pay the PWM bonus when the requirement takes effect. The TCC had consulted service buyers and providers extensively and deliberately recommended that the PWM bonus be implemented only in 2020. This was to give cleaning businesses ample time of more than 3 years to adjust their service agreements accordingly. As such, all cleaning businesses will be required to pay their resident cleaners the PWM bonus from January 2020. For cases of non-compliance, NEA will review their circumstances on a case-by-case basis. Mr. Louis Ng raised concerns about cleaners' wages being reset when the contract ends and there is a change in service provider. The TCC shares such concerns and had therefore proposed the yearly PWM wage increments, which would steadily lift wages at all skills levels for cleaners entering into contracts after 1st July 2018. We urge cleaning businesses and service buyers to recognize the skills and experience of workers and pay them fairly. By investing in productivity enhancements and technology, businesses can afford to sustain higher wages for their workers. The government will continue to support cleaning businesses in pursuing productivity projects through various schemes, such as the Environmental Services Productivity Solutions Grant, or ESPSG. Under the ESPSG, cleaning businesses can receive support for up to half the cost of eligible productivity enhancement solutions, up to a maximum of $250,000. Service buyers should also reject cheap sourcing in favor of performance-based contracting. This will encourage cleaning companies to invest in productivity measures without compromising the interests of cleaners, a concern highlighted by Mr. Desmond Chu. Besides ensuring fair wages, we need to help our cleaners upskill and keep up with industry demands. Ms. Joan Pereira asked whether training is tailored to the needs of all cleaners. All cleaners attend a basic cleaning course before starting out. The courses are offered in various languages, including English, Mandarin, and Malay. To facilitate learning, the courses are designed to emphasize hands-on learning, which I think is best suited for the profile of workers. Cleaners continue to receive support after they start work. For example, Housebur integrated services groups new and experienced cleaners together to facilitate on-the-job training. Another example is Lifeline Cleaning Private Limited, where older workers comprise 80% of the staff. The company tapped on the WorkPro job redesign grant and successfully trained its cleaners to use machines to clean floors more efficiently. In fact, I recently met 67-year-old Mr. Lee Tian Kok from Lifeline, who has learned to operate automated cleaning devices that make his job easier and more productive. Mr. Lee exemplifies the spirit of lifelong learning and is proof that older cleaners are not disadvantaged. We will support workers of all ages to upskill and reskill and encourage more businesses to adopt these best practices. Cleaning work must not only become more efficient, it must also become more safe. Dr. Chia Shi Lu highlighted the need for tighter safety measures to protect cleaners at work. NEA and Workforce Singapore have jointly developed a list of enhanced tools, chemicals and machines that businesses can adopt to make cleaning more effective and safe for cleaners. Cleaning supervisors can also receive training under the Environmental Cleaning Workplace Skills Qualification or WSQ framework to implement risk controls and educate workers on workplace safety. Mr. Louis Ng suggested extending the progressive wage model beyond the current pool of cleaners to cleaners who are directly employed as well as foreign workers. The PWM was designed to help cleaners employed by cleaning businesses earn higher incomes through upskilling. Previously, these workers saw their wages depressed as cheap sourcing was prevalent across the industry. The PWM sought to level the playing field amidst a more comprehensive effort to raise wages of lower-income citizens across the board. While the PWM does not apply to cleaners who are directly employed, we urge employers who are doing well to share their gains and reward their workers fairly, adopting the key principles of progressive wage model. Foreign workers are hired on different terms, and employers already bear other related expenses, such as additional levies and accommodation arrangements for engaging them. While the PWM does not apply to the foreign workers, again, we encourage employers to adopt the key principles of progressive wages when paying their foreign workers. Regarding Mr. Louis Ng's suggestions to adopt the R1 scheme for foreign workers in the cleaning sector, there is already such a scheme for the services sector which covers cleaning businesses. Under these schemes, employers enjoy lower levies and longer employment periods when they train and retain their foreign cleaners. Mr. Ng also proposed mandating a minimum proportion of R1 foreign cleaners. We will study this suggestion with MOM. As for Dr. Intan's suggestion of extending the PWM to the F&B industry, I will convey to my MOM colleagues to consider. With regards to Mr. Chen Shuo-Mao's comments, I would like to clarify that the PWM is not a national minimum wage model, but a framework to raise wages in tandem with productivity improvements and applied to selected sectors prone to cheap sourcing, wage stagnation and market failures. So cleaning sector, for instance, the lift sector which he actually talked about most recently, security and landscape. Dr. Intan Mokhtar also asked for stronger enforcement action against motorists who litter and cause roadside fires. The Penal Code Review Committee has proposed to introduce a new clause linking those who litter materials containing embers to a fire that subsequently occurs at that place. The committee also recommends that higher penalties be imposed for causing fires by littering of materials that contain embers, such as cigarette butts. the government will review the committee's recommendations. Regarding Dr. Intan's suggestion to deploy more surveillance cameras to tackle high-rise littering, NEA has deployed such cameras through our service contractors or service providers more than 5,500 times over the past 5 years, resulting in more than 5,000 enforcement actions. We will continue to be vigilant in tackling this issue while also working with the community to foster collective responsibility and ownership of our shared spaces. Dr. Intan asked whether makeshift rubbish bins placed by Good Samaritans to collect rubbish during community events or private functions would contravene Section 17 of the Act. The answer is no. Section 17 is not intended to discourage such activities. Finally, let me come back again to the reason for introducing provisions on the PWM bonus. We want to recognize our cleaners who have played such a big part in keeping Singapore clean and green. As Mr. Zainal Zapari said, there are many ways each of us can show our appreciation to the cleaners around us. By being considerate in the way we use public spaces, by picking up after ourselves, and by saying thank you to them. More importantly, as Dr. Intan Mokhtar has emphasized, the onus is on each and every one of us to keep our housing estates clean. Engineer Dr. Lee Bee Hua has shown the way with the Nee Soon No Cleaners Day. We must build a city that is truly clean because Singaporeans are gracious and mindful of their community and the environment. Sir, to conclude, the EPH Amendment Bill is a milestone in our journey to transform our environmental services industry through innovation and technology. At the same time, we will upskill our environmental services workers and improve their livelihood and working conditions. All Singaporeans will benefit as we ensure a cleaner and greener environment in the years to come. I thank members for their support of the bill.
The question is that the bill be now read a second time. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. To the contrary, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it.
Environmental Public Health Amendment Bill.
Committee stage what day?
Now, sir, I beg to move that Parliament will immediately resolve itself into a committee on the bill.
The question is that Parliament will immediately resolve itself into a committee on the bill. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. To the contrary, say no. I think the ayes have it. Ayes have it. The question is that clauses 1 to 15 stand part of the bill. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. To the contrary, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Bill to be reported. SMS, Amy Khor.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to report that the bill has been considered in committee and agreed to without amendment.
Third reading what day?
Now, sir, I beg to move that the bill be now read a third time.
The question is that the bill be now read a third time. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. To the contrary, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it.
Environmental Public Health Amendment Bill.
Leader of the House.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that Parliament do now adjourn to a date to be fixed.
The question is that Parliament do now adjourn to a date to be fixed. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. To the contrary, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Order. Order.